In 2015, when I was still a new solo gamer, Dawn of the Zeds 3rd edition came out. I believe it was a Kickstarter release. I kickstarted it, played the heck out of it when I first got it, and it's still part of my regular rotation. I think that Dawn of the Zeds delivers a narrative horror experience that is really unlike anything else that I own. It is built on the States of Siege engine, which was really big with several Victory Point games back in the day. Victory Point Games put out this system called States of Siege. This is the best one in that system. It generally, States of Siege is a war system, but Dawn of the Zeds took the bones of that war system and just created something delicious, something spectacular. It's cinematic. You really feel for your characters. You really feel the dire straits that they're in. The zombies attacking your town just put so much pressure on you, and it is such an engaging solo experience. It's designed by the legendary Hermann Luttmann, and it's one of my absolute favorite solo games. But this is not a review of Dawn of the Zeds. You see, a couple of years ago, I heard that Hermann Luttmann was designing another zombie game, another post-apocalyptic horror game. This time, instead of being put out by Victory Point Games, GMT was producing this one. I did the P500 pre-order from GMT. I waited and waited for this game, and then finally, the Plum Island Horror arrived on my doorstep, the spiritual successor to one of my absolute favorite solo games. I unboxed this the day that I got it. I believe I even posted that unboxing video. You can see how excited I was to get it. If you watch that video, I'll post the link in the show notes. And I played the heck out of this game. I've had it on my table for 3 weeks straight. I rarely have anything on my table for that long at one time. So I thought what I would do is I would turn on the camera and give you some of my thoughts about the Plum Island Horror. So I have the game set up for a solo game. In a solo game, you're going to be playing 2 squads of heroes. Today I have the National Guard, going to bring the firepower, and I have the Islanders Athletic Club, which I guess we're going to be fighting zombies with golf carts and tennis rackets and stuff, and a Speedo, apparently. Just play through a turn. I'll show you the actions that are available to a hero, and that'll give you an idea of how the game plays. So the first thing you need to do is you need to load load the bag. So there's this turn order bag that randomizes the turn order in the game. And what I've put in the bag is I have our activation tokens for the National Guard and the Athletic Club. I have 3 activation tokens for the zombies. And the last token is this Impending Doom token, which is going to force the player to draw a fate card, and maybe something nasty will happen. So you put the tokens into the bag, you give them a shuffle, and you see what happens. So our first token is the zombies attack. So zombie activations in this game are very easy. The zombies are these red tokens here. They say Murder of Horrors. The way you activate the enemy in this game, the zombies, is very simple. There's a fate deck. You draw the top card from the fate deck. Top of the card tells you where to spawn more horrors, more zombies, and the bottom tells you which track to activate. So first let's spawn. So we're going to spawn on track 6. So our spawn rate right now is 3. So we're going to take 3 more of these humongous red chits and put them on track 6 like that. And then we're going to activate track 5. Track 5 has this horde of zombies that's got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So a 4 zombie horde is going to move 2 spaces. So they're going to move here. The zombies are actually going to stop here because they've come in contact with a citizen. What happens here is the citizens can't fight back. They don't have any firepower or anything. The zombies are going to deal a fixed amount of damage, and there's a little table over here that hits chart. So, because these guys can't fight back, they are gone. So the zombies have devoured some citizens already on the first turn. So let me move the fate deck out of the way. We're going to activate the next token. So let's see what we've got here. All right, next we have the impending doom token. That means we're going to draw an event card off of the deck and see what it does. All right. Swimming Horrors. Spawn a murder of horrors stacked directly into the northern Cherry Pit Grove, area 1D. So also on the board here, there are 6 tracks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then all the areas are labeled A, B, C, D. So it's really easy to find stuff on this huge grid. So I'm going to be looking for 1D. So I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1D. And so the zombies have spawned at the beach. And I'm going to discard the event card, and then we draw another token. Hopefully our heroes are going to get to take a turn. All right, we have the National Guard. If you ever forget what to do on your turn, there's this great quick reference guide that comes with the game that explains the activity phase is what this is called. It explains what to do when you draw which token. So I've drawn a faction token. So I'm going to first do the Crisis Adrenaline move. So the Crisis Adrenaline just means that all the members of the faction get a free movement. Their movement points are on this handy reference chart that each faction gets. You're just looking for the little footprints. Some of them have this tire. See this tire here? That means the vehicle movement. You have to spend a supply to do vehicle movement. So, but first, let's just talk about how movement works. Movement, you move from space to space on the board. You have to follow the arrows. You cannot move to an adjacent spot if it is not connected with an arrow. Let me move. I'm going to move Reacher up here to help deal with this zombie horde right here. I'm going to leave these 2 units where they are. I might have this guy, Pile, move. I'm going to have him move up. Or should I leave him here to work on this bridge? I might leave him there to work on the bridge. So this bridge has a damage token on it, so I might want to have him repair. So I think we are good for now where we are. We're gonna stop here. So the Crisis Adrenaline phase is over. What happens next is we can take actions depending on which round of the game is. So right now it's morning of the first day. On morning of the first day, we only get to take 1 action. Well, what actions shall I take? Well, there's this handy reference card that has all the actions on it. So we can move, like I just demonstrated. I can fight. So I can conduct close combat or ranged combat. So close combat we haven't demonstrated yet. Close combat is if I had a unit in the same spot with some horrors, we could fight. All units have a close combat rating, which is this yellow number here. Some units also have this crosshair, crosshair symbol, which means that they can shoot range. They can shoot at an adjacent area. The heroes can also do crowd control, which means there's all these citizen tokens everywhere. Each hero has an admin rating, which is this green number. That's how many citizens that they can herd to safety. So let's see, Larry here. Larry Agarn has an admin rating of 1, so he can only move 1 citizen down. This guy right here, the Tiger King, he can move 2 down, so maybe that would be a good move for him to move those civilians to safety. You can evacuate civilians, and that's actually the way that you win this game. During this game, we're going to have to evacuate 26 points of civilians. You evacuate civilians by having them on the same tile as either a boat or a helicopter. So there are boats down here by the docks, and there are helicopters around the board. There's one here in 6E. There's one over here in the hospital in 2G. So you just have to get, once a civilian is on a spot and the spot is not compromised, meaning it doesn't have repair tokens or there's no zombies present, you can just airlift people or send them away on a boat. You can evacuate people from the island as an action. You don't even have to be on the spot with them when you do it. You can also repair. So repairing means there's these damage tokens around the board. You can pull you flip a fate number over, compare it to a table, see if you are successful repairing. It's actually possible to make the situation worse if you're not careful. You can build a compound, which is a special building that each faction has. The compounds actually, normally in the game, each location has a strict 2-person limit, 2-unit limit, but the compounds do not. And you can also hide civilians in the compound and keep them safe. The compounds are generally pretty good at attacking. The National Guard compound actually has a 4 rating on its range, so that means that when you shoot ranged with that, you're going to roll 4 dice, which is nice. So the compounds can be very handy, but they don't move. So once you have to build them in a good spot. You have to figure out, that's one of the puzzles in this game, is figuring out where to build that compound. Another thing we can do is you can use a location action. So locations generally let you gather supplies. Some of them have these supply symbols on them. Some of them let you search, which lets you draw a search card off the deck, which will let something random, generally pretty good, happen. You'll find something, maybe go on a little adventure. And there's also some places here, like the corporation headquarters has 2 biohazard markers on it. That actually lets you move down on the biohazard track. It's like you're trying to solve the biohazard problem on Plum Island, and you're bringing the infection right down. The catch is that you can only use one location once per day. So that's like every 3 rounds is the day in this game. So you're going to have to put an exhausted token on any location that you've used after you use it. You can heal, which you just have to be in an area with somebody that has this heal symbol. The compounds have the heal symbol, and some of the characters do. The hospital does, I believe. Yeah, the hospital, I believe you can heal at the hospital. So there are ways for you to heal in this game. This character's got a heal symbol, so he can heal himself, or he can heal people that he's on a space with. You can reposition. Reposition is something you can only do during certain actions. That's where you can move, like, for instance, this helicopter. We could move this helicopter to another helipad. Helipads are designated by the H on the board, so you can move the rescue vehicles around that way. But you can only do that at a certain time during what's called your follow action, which I'll explain in a moment. And then you can trade supplies between characters. Those are my choices. So since I'm not really playing the game, so let's just give you an example of something that I might do. Let's just have a little bit of fun. Let's say that I have the leader of the National Guard here, Colonel Jess Parmenter. I'm going to have her search, because she's at Pearl East, Pearl Headquarters East, which has this little binocular symbol on it. I'm going to exhaust Pearl East and draw a search card. All right, so vaccine trials, guinea pigs wanted. Check your unit's bravery rating. So my bravery rating, fortunately, is 4. So perfect lab subjects. I'm looking for lab subjects to test the vaccine against whatever has been turning people into zombies. I found the perfect lab subjects. Reduce the biohazard track by 3 spaces. Not super helpful right now. My biohazard track was actually already at 0. If this is in Pearl West or Pearl East, which it is, double the indicated track effects. So not the best card to draw on the first turn, but as you can see, these search cards can be very, very powerful. You just don't know what the effect is going to be. Anyway, I've demonstrated how a turn works. We've done the one action. There is one more thing left to go. The other faction now gets to do what are called follow actions. In a 2-player game and a solo game, they can take up to 2 follow actions. Follow actions are essentially just you get to do free actions, but you have to draw a fate card. And if at the bottom of the fate card it says draw event, you risk having to draw an event card and having more bad stuff happen. Like the last time we drew an event card, we had more zombies spawn right in the middle of the board. So Miguel Splits here is going to try to fight these zombies, so I can show you how close combat works. So close combat in this game is simultaneous. We know that according to this chart that these 3 zombies are going to deal 1 damage to Miguel. Miguel's got 5 health. He is going to try, however, to attack. So the first thing that happens is we put a yellow cube into this bag. We have a biohazard bag that we're going to draw at the end of we're going to draw cubes from at the end of the turn. It's got 3 green cubes in here, which basically mean nothing happens, and now it has 1 yellow cube in it. The yellow cube just kind of symbolizes we've come in contact with the contaminated undead in close combat. If we were to fight ranged, we actually would not add 1 of those cubes. I'm going to roll the dice and show you what can happen. All right, so we got 3 interesting results. We got a heart, which means a hit. We got half a heart, which is half a hit. So if we rolled another half heart, that would be a hit. And we got a critical hit. It counts as a hit, and we get to add another die. We've got our other half heart. So we have dealt this horde 3 hits. They deal us 1 hit. These black cubes represent damage, so I'm going to put 1 on Miguel Splits. I'm going to put these away. And Miguel has successfully defended the beach from the zombies. Now I have to draw a fate card. The fate card says at the bottom, no event card. So I have avoided an event. So I can actually go again. So is there anything else I want to do? That was actually way better than the actual turn in this game. I could perhaps do the same thing. We could have Reacher, maybe. Actually, no, Reacher wasn't there. Is there anything else I can fight? How about I try to repair? Here. Let's say we're down at the docks. I've got, what's this guy? Sid Calhoun. So Sid Calhoun is hanging out down by the docks. The docks, I want to start rescuing people, but the docks are compromised. We got to fix something at the docks. So I'm going to draw a fate number. I've drawn a 2. What I do then is I check the repair table. So I've drawn a 2, so repair is underway. For a damaged area or bridge, reduce the damage marker value by 1. Okay? So I'm going to flip this over to 1. So we started repairs, but we haven't been able to fix them. So once again, we have to draw a fate card to see what happens. And now we have to draw an event card. So event card number 2. What kind of hell is this? Draw a fate number and spawn the Leper Messiah's mutation standee in that track spawn zone. All right, this one looks bad. All right, so this is track 5. So track 5 is going to get this special mutation. So this nasty looking guy is going to come out on track 5. So these are mutations. They kind of operate on their own rules. They're really nasty. And so we see track 5 is wide open too. So we're going to have to do some damage control later for track 5. So you keep doing this. You keep pulling tokens, going back and forth until you get to the end of the round. During the end of the round, if this were night, we'd have to spend our supplies to feed our troops, which we don't. At the end of the night, then we draw cubes. Let's just say that I had a couple more encounters in here. We'll just add a couple more cubes to the bag, simulating the end of the round. You draw 2 cubes out of the bag. 2 cubes. 2 cubes out of the bag. And we've got 2 greens, so nothing happens. All right, we're keeping that infection low. And then we simply let me clear this card out of the way. We just put our tokens back in the draw bag, we advance the round marker, and we do it again. And we keep drawing, and we keep fighting zombies, keep trying to fix things that are broken, trying to rescue civilians, and we play like that until all nine rounds have been completed. If we can survive through round 9 and rescue 26 points of citizens, we have won the Plum Island Horror. Let me talk about what I love about the Plum Island Horror. And there is a lot to love in this big, beautiful, sprawling game. The first thing that I love about the Plum Island Horror is the thematic integration in this game. The theme and the mechanics are beautifully and wonderfully entwined together. All of the units that you control make thematic sense. Their special powers are easy to remember because they make very thematic sense. It gives each unit its own personality, and these are actually generally great special powers. Which is what I love in a game. A lot of these powers are going to be ones that you're going to want to exploit over and over again, and in fact, they're the abilities of the members of your team are really key to winning the game. They're how you strategize, how you know what to do. I love the artwork. I love the board. I love the grid movement in this game, going from location to location. Some locations have more protection than others. I love the way the bridges work. You can always move up and down this track, but you can't always move left and right, which is fascinating. You get bottlenecks, and you get places that you get areas of the board that are super important for your strategy and that you need to defend, and it's great that they give you compounds once you figure that out. I love that playing with different factions creates a completely different game because, like I said, you're going to be using their special abilities. You're going to be trying to maximize those, and some games you're going to be doing a lot of sneaking around and a lot of movement and a lot of helping and healing and rescuing, and others you're just going to be doing a lot of fighting. You just have really strong combat abilities. So you're just going to be bringing the firepower, having a few of the units kind of sweep through and rescue civilians while you just battle it out. And I love the wacky sense of humor. This is not serious horror. This is like 1950s pulpy horror. This is camp. This is, it's funny, it's full of dad jokes, it's very light, nothing is super gory or disturbing. Even if you're not sure about like a horror theme, you're a little squeamish, I think you'd still have a blast with this game. It's just fun and funny. I'll come across search cards or event cards or characters that'll show up, and it's just like, they're just very, it's just always great to discover little things and notice little details that were very lovingly baked into this game thematically. So excellent job integrating theme and mechanics, but I mean, this is the designer of Dawn of the Zed, so that should not be a surprise. The next thing that I love about this game is something I didn't expect to love, which is the crunchy puzzle that this game presents to you. Not only are you figuring out how to move your units around, but you really have to maximize your actions. You're agonizing over, you have 3 things that you need to do, especially at the beginning of the game when your units are kind of spread out and they're not super helpful where they're starting. You're just trying to figure out how to move. Characters have very limited movement. It can be very difficult to move somebody across the board. So you just come up with this fantastic puzzle of how do I arrange my units? Where do I build my compound? What spots do I defend? What spots do I let go? And this becomes a way more crunchy puzzle. This is not just a light zombicide dice chucking game. This is a rich game. It's got some rules complexity. It gives you a plethora of options. It's like this wide open sandbox. And it's just, it will occasionally hurt your brain. This can be a brain-burning game, but in the best way. Gives you lots to think about, lots to strategize. If you play this multiplayer, you have lots and lots to discuss. You're not just sitting there going through the motions. You're really trying to maximize, and sometimes you can find really surprising solutions. You can find a helipad that you forgot was there. You realize, oh, we can't get our citizens down here, but we can just get them over here and evacuate them, or we can split them up. It gives you an opportunity to just come up with really clever play, which I love in a game. And this is very, very, very well designed in that regard. So if you like crunchy yet thematic puzzles, this game could be just what you're looking for. The third thing that I love about the Plum Island Horror is the ease of gameplay. I love this rule book. This rule book is beautiful. This is an unusually beautiful rule book especially for GMT Games. Great job. Lovely pictures, full color, section headings, examples baked into the book. There's a reference guide that I haven't even needed because everything I've needed is in this book. I read this book once, set the game up, and I knew how to play it. The player aids that come with this game are so good, I barely ever need to consult the rulebook. Just occasionally when an edge case comes up, I haven't had to go to the BGG forums to see how something is played. This has been just a very pleasant experience. I love this. I love the Fate deck as a way of determining randomness rather than rolling dice. I love the fact that there are dice in this game, but there are no numbers on the dice. They're just used for combat. I love the exploding dice. I love that mechanic in game. So it's got a little bit of that Ameritrash thematic feel to it, but it also has this really smooth activation system where I love that you just pull a card to get a number, to see if you need to pull an event card, to see what activates. It's just very, very smooth. I love pulling tokens out of the bag. I do love random turn order activation. There's been several games that have come out recently that have used that mechanic, and I love it each time. It keeps things tense and exciting. I like the puzzle of trying to not just move civilians out of the way, but create rescue points and move vehicles around. But yeah, it's just very smooth. It's very easy to remember how to play. The theme and the rules are interwoven so well that it's easy to remember what you're doing. You feel like you're doing the thing you're supposed to be doing and not just doing procedure or mechanics. There is a fair bit of admin in this game, especially if you're playing a one-player game, because you're going to be controlling 10 different units and having to remember everything that they do and get all their stats right. But they give you these really great player mats here for each faction actions so you can keep track of their damage, and so you can see all of their stats at a glance. So excellent job with making this game playable, thematically integrated, and just a blast to play. This game, you can get lost in this sandbox for hours and hours. This is obviously a labor of love by a very, very experienced and thoughtful designer. So that's my review of Plum Island Horror. Everything is great, right? Right? The first issue I have with this game is the length. This is a long, long game. My first solo game, took 5 hours. And that was not because I had to look up rules. It was just because it took 5 hours. I mean, you saw how long just demonstrating those turns went, where when the zombies activate, it might initiate some combat, which is fine. Sometimes it initiates multiple combat encounters, and you have to add cubes and do some admin. And then when your characters move at the beginning of your turn, you have to decide who you're going to move and where, how are you going to use their actions. And then after each turn, you have follow-up actions that you need to weigh. Do I do follow-up actions? Who do I move? What do they do? And sometimes a single turn can take 10 minutes, just playing it through, thinking it through. And then you draw another turn, and then it's another 10 minutes. And you have 9 rounds, and you're going to have you're just going to have activation after activation. I mean, it's great that the game really gives you a lot of tools to be able to move and strategize and do stuff, but it just takes a long time. If you do not like long solo games, you need to stay away from this one. This game is going to take its time. I played this a 2-player game. We made it through round 4 or 5, and we had to quit because we had been playing for about 2.5 hours, and we were only half done. It was late at night. We had to go. That is one thing that I really wish would change. I do know that Hermann Luttmann has announced, they've announced an expansion called, I think, More of a Bad Thing, where they address some of this, and I've heard that there are some shorter scenarios, which hopefully will be 2 hours or less. 2 hours with a game like this is fine. The only way I've really been able to play this game, I've had it on my table for 3 weeks, and that's mainly because I can come down, play for an hour, play for 90 minutes, leave it set up, and then come back to it. This is an easy game to come back to. Now, I know not everybody can let this huge sprawling game take over their kitchen table for an entire week or for an entire evening. So this could be a deal breaker for somebody this length. This is about twice as long as I would want it to be, really. I would like to be able to complete this game in a 2-hour session. This is one of the things that causes me to hesitate. Recommending this game is just its gargantuan length. Another thing that could be a deal breaker for you in this game. This game has a tempo problem. This game should be an exciting experience. This game, when I opened this game and first started playing it, I was expecting an exciting, cinematic, tense, ratcheting up the tension, card flip by card flip, turn by turn, things escalate. That was what I was expecting just based on my experience with Dawn of the Zeds, and this game does not deliver that. It gives you an occasional burst of tension, and in fact, the beginning, as you saw, could be quite tense, especially if you get a bunch of zombie activations at the beginning, and the zombies are just kind of trashing you without you having any recourse. But honestly, once you get going, once you get your squad into position, once you take out some hordes and you have some tracks that don't activate, you're just gonna pull fate cards sometimes and just have nothing happen. And you're just going around trying to deal with the zombies that are there, but after a while, you just don't feel the tension. The zombies generally become easy to manage. While this fate card deck is a fantastic idea from a design standpoint, it really is smooth and clever to have the spawn activation tracks, to have these random numbers that generate. But the problem with this is that the same amount of zombies are going to spawn and activate each turn. There are some chaos cards, there are some special cards that could come up, but because this deck is used for everything, it's easy. You could skip some of the really hard cards and only get the easy cards. And here's the thing, because these cards are just randomly come out, there's no escalation. There's no big showdown. There's no big boss that comes out. There's no final rush from the zombies there's no last stand. It's just the zombies kind of randomly activate, and sometimes they activate a lot, and sometimes they don't activate at all, but they activate at more or less the same rate throughout the entire game. And in fact, as you see on the track here, during day 2, you get 3 actions plus 2 follow actions each turn. So you by the middle of day 2, you feel like you're drowning in activations. You have so many things you can do on your turn that you just don't feel as much pressure anymore. And that is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that instead of having a rising, escalating action, the narrative just flatlines. And then if you couple that with a 4-hour game of only slight variations in the tension, and then the game is just over, that flat narrative was one of the things that really, really brought this game down a notch for me. But that's not the worst thing. The final thing that I actively dislike about the Plum Island Horror is the mandatory evacuation points track. They give you a goal of 26 citizen points. So you see all these citizen tokens. You have to rescue them. You have to get them to the chopper. You have to get them onto a boat and evacuate them to safety, and that is your goal. That is why you are on this island fighting. You are throwing yourselves into the middle of the fray. You are throwing your body. You're using yourself as a human shield, trying to shield these civilians, trying to push back the hordes. You're building compounds and firing. You're firing at these zombies with the express purpose to rescue the citizens of Plum Island. And then you do. Almost every game, unless you play really badly, you are going to rescue all of the civilians. And in my experience, you are going to rescue the civilians by round 5. Sometimes round 4. And that's when the game stops being fun. It even says here, when you get to 26, it says, "We're saved!" And you say, "Hurrah! I've saved the civilians!" But I'd still have 5 more rounds to go. You could ignore repairing the bridges. You might not even need to repair the bridge. The hospital, you could leave it. You could leave it in disrepair. The only goal is just to rescue people, and once you rescue them, you're done. So what happens is halfway through this game, you will just stop caring. Once you rescue the civilians, you can tell yourself, well, I'm going to keep role-playing, I'm going to try to rescue all of the civilians, but there's a psychological block as soon as you accomplish the goal. It's like playing Pandemic, and the game just says, congratulations, you cured all the diseases, but now you just have to hang out for 10 more rounds and see what happens. Flip over some more cards. Maybe you'll have to deal with some stuff. Maybe some more outbreaks will hit. You have to keep playing the game even though you've accomplished the thing you're supposed to do. That is the problem. There is a fundamental contradiction between accomplishing this task and then having to survive. This should be one or the other, not both. The survival to the end seems to be like a holdover from Dawn of the Zeds, where you have to survive through an entire deck of cards. But in that case, you're not surviving a certain the amount of rounds is determined by the deck, and the deck is tuned to be progressively harder, to progressively put pressure on you. And I have never played a co-op game that doesn't have any escalation at all. The zombies should get more activations as you go later. Maybe their movement increases. Maybe the infection rate goes up faster. Maybe each round you get something gets overrun and you can't protect it. So the overrun points are going to move up whether you protect the town or not. Like there just needs to be something bad that happens. You have to have mutations that come out. Something spawns. Something happens in the last day that just puts the pressure on you. But you could have just a walk in the park, and that's where the Plum Island Horror just turns into the Plum Island Inconvenience. At its worst, you're just a bedraggled office employee just trying to run out the clock, Just saying, well, I got 2 more rounds. Everything's under control. Let's just pull some more tokens and flip. And some of these turns can take so long to play. The last game that I played, I rescued all of the civilians, even with some of the adjustments to make the game harder. I rescued all the civilians by turn 4. I just couldn't finish it. It was just so, I just was just looking at another 2 hours of just pulling tokens and flipping cards and moving and admin all over the place. It just wasn't, it just lost its sparkle. The horrible part about this is that the first 4 rounds were brilliant. The first half of the game was fun. I was having a blast with this new combination of factions trying to use their strengths the way this should be used. I found a new way. I think in this one we sent everybody to one of the helipads. I think it was this helipad here. I was able to funnel a lot of the people that way. It was a really engaging. We had some really interesting search cards come out, and then I rescued those survivors. And it's like the game was over. I didn't even care anymore. So I do not understand that design choice. This game flies so close to brilliance, but this part here just doesn't make any sense. To be completely fair, Mr. Luttmann has addressed these things. There's going to be a new expansion. It's going to have shorter scenarios, and there's going to be a brand new nightmare mode. The nightmare mode is going to tweak the difficulty, put more pressure on you, and some of the nightmare mode stuff you can implement right now. My problem with that, though, is nightmare mode needs to be part of this box. There's no scenarios, there's no difficulty levels. Once you've mastered the basic difficulty of the game, which isn't hard to do, you're done. You have nothing left to do. You have to just house rule it. You just have to make up your own variant. You have to come up with your own things to make it harder. There should be a nightmare mode in the box. If a nightmare mode exists right now, it needs to be added to the base game rules. It needs to be released online, added to any reprints of the game. It really shouldn't be. That shouldn't be something that's just part of the expansion. And my other issue is that Dawn of the Zeds, all right, was not a perfect game. In fact, Dawn of the Zeds needs its expansions. Vanilla Dawn of the Zeds is about the same as vanilla Plum Island Horror. It's fun, but it has its problems. It's a little too easy to game the game. But the expansions help that. They add new tracks, they add new complications, they add new cards, they add new heroes, new things to do, and it's fantastic. But here's the thing, the Plum Island Horror is not a small box game. This is a huge production. This is an expensive box. You're going to be paying $90 retail or more for this, plus shipping if you get it online. And you would expect a deluxe investment to at least feel like a complete game. It feels like they're selling you 80% of the game now, and that the expansion is going to give you the other 20%, which is fine. I like this game enough that I'm probably going to hang on to it, and I'm probably going to be one of those people that buy the expansion hoping that it addresses some of the problems. Hoping it does. Hoping that it turns this game into something that's not just fun for the first half, but actually works all the way through. Would I recommend this game, you ask? Well, let me answer your question with another question. Do you own Dawn of the Zeds? You don't own Dawn of the Zeds? Just go buy Dawn of the Zeds. Buy this. This game has been around for a long time. It's tested, it's tried, it's true. It delivers such a fantastic experience. This is what you're looking for. You already have Dawn of the Zeds? Go ahead, buy the game. Buy it now. You'll get 80% of the game now, and you can get the other 20% later in 2025 for $64.99 retail. It'll be like, it's like board game layaway. So do I recommend this game? As you can tell, it's complicated. If this game didn't have some of the issues that I raised, this would be one of the best solo/co-op games with this theme that you could buy. It just has some fundamental problems that may or may not be fixed by the expansion. We're going to have to wait a year and a half to find out. And that's my review. So if you want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know how wrong I am. Let me know if you've had a similar experience playing this game. And until we meet again, I'm Solitarius. Keep on solo gaming.